Over the years, I've developed an approach to fitness that isn't simply about perfection, but focuses instead on consistent progress and self-improvement. I'll be the first to admit, it can be tough sometimes to know, am I on the wellness path that's right for me? Personally, I've always turned to a simple place for that answer, and that's listening to my body. My dad was an integrative medical doctor, so growing up around him, I learned that charting data gives you a real-time, concrete way of knowing more about your body, your lifestyle, and yourself. I want you to see how easy, fun, and effective it can be to start tracking your body. So, let's go. So I want you to start to realize it's a lot easier to figure out all your workouts, all this other stuff, once you really get the data, but also understand yourself. This will make the journey a lot easier, and it also at times will make it intriguing. I'm gonna give you a brief, rudimentary kind of introduction into certain key data points. We're not gonna go so crazy. Sometimes people get so overwhelmed and wanna go super deep. We'll keep it super basic with some of the data that we might get, especially when it comes on your fitness journey. Doctors should get some of the basic stuff. They should just run a physical and just take a blood test. Get simple things like what's your cholesterol level that you probably need to know. Are you deficient in any vitamins or minerals? Is there anything going on with your body that your blood could tell you that you should be aware of? Those base level things, just those beginners, the same way you would get a tune-up for a car. If you're gonna go buy a used car or even a new car, you wouldn't just accept the car, you would know what's going on. The great thing is, you don't have to pay that much for repairs. You just have to put in the effort, you pay in time, and the body will naturally kind of rebuild itself. So data is king simply because that lets you know a little bit more about your kingdom, which is your body. So data rules over that, but more importantly, you have control and dominion over your body and your kingdom too. When we talk about data, I want you to understand data in two ways. You have quantitative data and you have qualitative data. Quantitative data is essentially the numbers that you will get back. It's hard, it's reliable, hopefully it's valid. Your body fat percentage, your weight, your pulse, your blood pressure, that cold calculated data that you can't really argue against if the device that you're using is both valid and reliable. Qualitative data is a little bit of a different type of data that is still important. It's essentially internal or external feedback that you're getting. You're constantly getting feedback. It's on you to then understand kind of what's wrong. The longer you ignore these signs that your body is giving you, the harder it will be to figure out what is actually going on. If you eat something and your stomach starts to hurt, you should probably listen to yourself there. If you're doing an exercise and something's bothering you, doesn't feel quite right, understand if you're tired. Understanding also sometimes it's not always negative. Maybe you have increased energy. Where did that come from? Take a second. Maybe you did something good. So figure out what that behavior was so you can keep doing it. Maybe, you tried a new sleep pattern and that worked out for you. Maybe you tried a new workout and you're actually feeling great. All feedback and listening doesn't have to be bad, but you have to get into the relationship with your body where you actually listen to what's going on, both in your mind and how you're physically feeling. So a good system to keep track of all these data points is literally, you could just use an app or a notebook. Before you do a workout, write down how you feel. In the middle of the workout, take note of how you feel. After the workout, take note of how you feel. The day after, take note of how you feel. This will go a long way to understanding how you're actually feeling when you're doing these things. And then it could give more of an objective kind of picture into how to replicate these positive feelings and then also possibly stay away from the negative feedback and feelings that your body is giving you. Recording and comparing your personal qualitative data as well as the quantitative data your body generates will help you level up faster on your wellness journey. Weight is important. I know people try to make fitness the end all be all be about weight, and that's why people don't even want to weigh themselves. But the difficulty here is that remove judgment, but you need to know your weight because it is connected. It is connected to a lot of public health conditions, such as diabetes. A lot of that is connected to your weight. But just accept it for what it is. You may be normal weight, you may be overweight, you may be underweight. It doesn't matter, it just is. Because whether you step on that scale or not, which is something I want you to realize as you do this, the person has not changed. The only thing that has changed is your perception of that person. So once you get hard data about something, which is yourself, don't let your perception change about you because there's been cultural attitudes that have been applied to these things. At the end of the day, it's very bizarre for people to eat junk food, but we just accept that people eat junk food because it's culturally allowed. Don't let a cultural attitude put stigma on your weight, especially if the cultural attitudes may have played a major role in your weight gain. So don't be mad at you for a second. If you don't be mad at anybody, be mad at the people who are making a whole bunch of money off of you eating poorly. But first, just accept who you are. So weight is super important. But from there, we want to get into other data points that put our weight in context. Weight is important, but it's not the most important thing. Body mass index, or BMI, is utilizing your height and weight as a screening tool to understand more about your body. The problem is, BMI is often used as a diagnostic, which is misleading for a large portion of people due to cultural, career, and lifestyle differences. A better analysis of our body composition is utilizing different metrics, such as your body fat percentage, to give you lots of solid data points regarding your body's health. You typically want to have a good ratio of your skeletal muscle mass with your body fat percentage. In this case, your visceral fat, which is the fat that you hold around your internal organs. The more fat you hold around those internal organs, the worse that you're going to be off. You want to make sure that is under control. When I'm working with clients, I want women's body fat percentage, probably 26% or less. That depends on their lifestyle habits. For men, most part, I would like 18% or less. So you can step on a scale. You have certain scales that do this where they basically send a current through you and it's able to tell you a little bit about your body fat percentage. The best scales for those typically are what are called in-body scales. It's bioimpedance. Basically, your body has a lot of water in it. It sends a current and lets you know, depending upon the frequencies and the current, about what your body composition percentage is. It'll just let you know your body composition. So that's another important data point, but don't get lost in it. And then we can get some measurements around your waist. We have your waist-hip ratio, right? So one of those things, you're like, I don't have time to go figure out my body fat percentage. You want a smaller waist. You don't want to hold a bunch of weight around that area. And that is a component of what they call your body fat. So if you were to take a nice tape measure, you could go to your local convenience store and they'll probably have one. You put the tape measure around your waist. You put the tape measure around your hips. You divide the waist by the hips. Men want to have below 0.9, women want to have below 0.85. So you have that easy ratio, and that's something that can also give you more insight when you're on your fitness journey. As we age, and especially get a little bit more wear and tear on the blood vessels with that blood pressure, we want to make sure that essentially our heart is healthy. So we want to have a nice, good, controlled blood pressure. But depending upon your population, even if you're an athlete, things like that, there are different ranges. Certain ethnicities are predisposed to higher blood pressure, so it's important to understand that stuff. So just check with your healthcare practitioner to help you figure that out. Your doctor might take your blood pressure, or you can easily monitor it at home with low-cost devices available online or at local pharmacies. Your pulse. Super important because it gives you a lot of insight into what's going on with your heart. The better in shape you are getting, the lower your typically resting heart rate will be. That's why athletes typically have a resting heart rate below 55 or so. Really good athletes, endurance athletes, typically will get into 48 and below. The lowest mine's personally has been 38 when I'm in my best shape. But really endurance athletes will get sometimes even lower than that. But your heart, basically that pulse, is a great data point. If you're afraid of data, don't worry. But I implore you to pick one. Just pick one number that you feel comfortable with being able to figure it out, whatever that may be. Just be plugged in. Don't let the data points overwhelm you, because I know a lot of times we get scared. We don't want to step on the scale. So sometimes if you don't like weighing yourself, you don't have to weigh yourself every day. Just go through the process. Win the now. Go through the process. Go through the process. Then weigh yourself later. So your body fat percentage, your weight, your pulse, Once you get those base ones, so there's certain you could do at home, others that you need somebody else to do, then you could really go deep. You could get further blood tests that let you know your hormonal markers. You could wear a continuous glucose monitor, which tells you your blood sugar in real time. That lets you know how food actually impacts you. So stop ignoring yourself. Your body is a smart thing. It is literally millions of years of human adaptation. So pay attention to it, understand how you feel, and then really take that into account through your wellness plans in general, but also, of course, your fitness, because you're going to be using your body, get used to it. But I promise you, if you listen to it, this journey will be a lot more fun.